The Hyundai Genesis is a child of the Great Recession. The economic crisis created an opportunity for the Korean automaker. While many people were worried about their jobs, those who had good jobs were worried about how long those jobs would last. The Genesis was a hit with people who could afford a Mercedes, a BMW, or a Lexus, but decided to be cautious until the economy improved. Now, as we're in year whatever of the recovery, Hyundai has come out with a totally new Genesis, so it's sort of the rebirth of the Genesis, which may or may not be redundant. Hyundai flew real-world test drive to Arizona to get our first look at the 2015 Genesis. While the 2015 Genesis is new from bumper to bumper, it's what's above those bumpers that's really interesting. In the front of the car, the Genesis has adaptive cruise control. That's one of those systems that keeps your car a preset distance from the car in front of you. The 2015 Genesis also has automatic emergency braking.
It utilizes the front radar camera from our smart cruise control system, as well as the front camera from our lane departure lane keep assist system, and it's what we call sensor fusion technology. So it takes both of these input, it scans the road ahead for vehicles that could potentially be imminent collision situation. And if for some reason you're distracted and you don't apply braking and it detects there's an imminent collision, it'll actually provide from partial up to full braking to stop the vehicle.
Ricky Lau is with Hyundai. The 2015 Genesis also has a smart trunk.
So we have the world's first hands-free and foot-free smart trunk opener. So if you have your key fob, your proximity key fob that's standard with every Genesis, if you have that in your pocket or in your purse, and if you walk to the back of the vehicle and the proximity key sensor detects you, it'll actually flash, and if you're in that proximity zone for 3 seconds, it'll automatically open for you. So imagine if you're in a winter situation, you're holding a bunch of boxes, the last thing you want to do is start swinging your leg underneath the bumper to trigger to open, or to try to fumble for your key fob to pop open the trunk. So with this feature, we really deliver a truly unique and intelligent execution of a really well-desired and much-desired feature.
This is one of the coolest things we've heard of since someone figured out you could put wheels on luggage. But speaking of rolling things, the 6-cylinder version of the Hyundai Genesis is available with all-wheel drive, which, for those of us who live in the Northeast, is a different kind of luxury. Hyundai calls their all-wheel drive system H-Track, which sounds a lot like 8-track, which probably doesn't matter because many of the people buying the Genesis are probably too young to remember 8-track tapes. But while discussing entertainment options, the new Genesis is loaded. In addition to satellite radio, the Genesis also integrates Pandora and AHA radio. For iPhone users, Siri has a new friend. We tried it, and it actually worked. We hit the button on the steering wheel and actually used Siri to send and receive text messages. They were read to us and we could dictate a response. The Lexicon stereo system also sounded wonderful. The only sour note was when passing a truck on an incline on a desert highway. The 6-cylinder Genesis with all-wheel drive seemed a bit slow for a luxury car. Not scary slow, just leisurely enough that I noticed it. The PR team for Hyundai said it would have been much faster if the dial-a-ride system was set in sport instead of normal or eco mode. I had no such complaints with the 8-cylinder Tau engine, but that engine is not currently available with all-wheel drive. Hyundai sources hinted that an 8-cylinder all-wheel drive performance model may be hovering on the horizon. But speaking of horizons, if you're short and you're thinking about buying the 2015 Genesis, make sure to drive it in a crowded area and make a few right turns. You need to make sure you don't have any problems with the A-pillar blind spot. The A-pillar holds up the windshield, and like some other luxury cars, the Genesis has thick A-pillars and wing mirrors that contain the blind spot detection system. But that combination may create a problem for smaller drivers. The heated, power tilt and telescoping steering wheel was wonderful. I could actually move the seat back far enough to be comfortable and then extend the wheel so that I could comfortably steer without extending my arms straight out like someone from Night of the Living Dead. You'll also be able to see zombies coming if you have the Panoramic Moonroof. It's huge and well configured. A power sunshade is operated by a different button from the moonroof itself, so you're not accidentally opening the roof in the rain when all you wanted to do was have a peek at the sky in traffic. The navigation, climate control, and entertainment systems were blissfully easy to use. Unlike some other luxury car companies that have fallen in love with touchscreens and painted-on buttons, the 2015 Hyundai Genesis seems to have a perfect combination of a control wheel, hard buttons, dials, and a touchscreen. While the Hyundai infotainment system was better than most, the Genesis had only one USB port. The power rear sunshade is on the list of my must-have items for a luxury car. It's not just a convenience on really hot sunny days. I use it at night to cut the glare of headlights behind me when the auto-dimming mirror doesn't seem to do the trick on a long drive. But on the subject of glare, if you use polarized sunglasses like I do, the full-color Hyundai heads-up display is almost invisible. If you wear non-polarized sunglasses like this pair, it's not a problem. The heads-up display is configurable so it can show you the speed limit, your next turn, your current speed, and it'll even warn you if you're driving through a school zone. The lane keep assist is adjustable. It'll vibrate the steering wheel if you start to drift out of your lane. The Genesis also has a special air sensor that measures the amount of oxygen in the cabin and adjusts it to help keep you awake.
And what we found out in our research was that there's a strong correlation between CO2 levels and fatigue and drowsiness. And actually, OSHA sets standards for the office environment for the maximum level of CO2 that an office environment can have. So we're a little bit more proactive and aggressive in terms of our limit. We have a 2,000 parts per million CO2 level within the vehicle limit. And what that does is when the CO2 sensor detects that level, it'll actually switch to full fresh air to bring into the cabin to obviously make the cabin a more comfortable environment and to promote better driver alertness.
Here are the mileage figures for the two cars we drove. The 6-cylinder all-wheel drive was rated at 16 in the city and 25 on the highway. The 8-cylinder rear-wheel drive was rated at 15 in the city and 23 on the highway. Since this is our first look, we don't have a 0 to 60 time for you, but here's the pricing breakdown. The all-wheel drive started at $40,500. Our test car also had the blind spot detection system with rear cross traffic alert, lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking, heads-up display, and a 17-speaker Lexicon audio system that sounded amazing. The 2015 Genesis all-wheel drive 3.8 came out to be $52,450. In Scottsdale, Arizona, I'm Grant Winter reporting for Real World Test Drive.